Hey y'all, welcome to the Can't Focus podcast, where it's about to get real. We'll be having honest conversations about what it really takes to grow online in the Western space. This show is all about the behind the scenes of content creation, how to grow your business, open doors, and build a community that helps you stand out in a world that doesn't always understand what we do. Whether you're in the arena, behind the camera, on the ranch, or just trying to figure out how to turn your passion into something bigger, you're in the right place. Fair warning, we're going to ramble, we're going to overshare, because we definitely can't focus. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Can't Focus podcast with Kait
and Elizabeth. You could be confused because I'm Kait.
And I'm Elizabeth. Yeah.
That's Elizabeth. And
okay.
We just introduced each other a little bit, which is fine.
Oh, yeah, that didn't. Okay. Anyways, we're new at this. Well, we should actually. Okay. First off, the name. Let's talk about the name.
Can't Focus podcast.
Yes. Why did we land on that?
Well, it stems from Elizabeth not being able to focus her camera correctly.
It's very true.
But also,
quite often,
we're very distracted people.
Yes.
Which you would think would not go over well with the podcast. So we're really trying to keep it together for you guys.
This is just simply based on our FaceTimes, where I call you asking for help, and then 3 seconds after I've asked you for help,
talking about something else.
And then I
totally
leave and I have not answered any questions that I needed to have. And that is why I'm not getting better as a videographer. I'm actually going to put that on you. I'm putting that on you.
You don't think that I'm frustrated as a teacher? Then I'm like,
never.
I don't think she fully grasped that concept, but
never.
We're moving on to the next one.
Okay. Now, I did say this was the inaugural podcast, but should we kind of confess?
Probably. This is not actually the first time that we have tried to do the first inaugural episode of the podcast. We really tried hard yesterday.
Very hard.
Yeah.
But the problem was it was a travel day. We'll talk about what we're traveling for in a few minutes.
We were both very tired.
Very tired.
And the distraction gets worse. I feel like when I'm tired, the focus is out the window.
So we rambled so hard for an hour.
I'm feeling it starting to happen right now.
No, we're going to keep it on track. We have some notes today.
Anyways, this is not the first episode. We have notes. We have an outline of where we want to take it. But
okay, so the first thing is, what do we want to do with this podcast? What's the point of this?
Why are we starting? Yeah.
You want to say your take on it first?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we'll get into this a little later. We come from kind of different sides of the social media thing. Mm-hmm. Content creator, videographer kind of deal. And so for me, I feel like social media people are just starting to figure it out in the Western world.
Yeah.
But a lot of people really don't know how to get started or how to be consistent, or they get frustrated with, why am I not getting views? Why am I not getting follows? And I think people just don't know the work that it takes to get to that kind of point. And I'm not saying that I'm a professional by any means. Like, there's a lot that I'm still learning about the social media side of things, but I think this is just a goal, I think, like you've said, to be transparent.
Yeah. And I'm from the opposite side, where I did do social media before this for other people, was doing social media strategy and managing other people's accounts. And the Western world was totally new to me as a year ago. And then, talking about putting in the hard work, I do consider myself a content creator, not a videographer or a photographer. We like to just be a jack of all trades, master of none. But the account has grown and garnered, I guess, some attention. And so I think to be able to share, I would say, like, there are probably 2 questions I get the most on social media, which is, how do I get into rodeo videography or photography? And, how have you grown your account quickly? Which I truly don't feel like it was super quick. Some people post one TikTok or reel and they gain 1 million followers overnight. But
it's
I'm just like
exaggerated, but
no, people like you see that all the time. We talked about that with one of our upcoming guests.
Well, he didn't gain 1 million followers overnight.
He got 50,000.
That's not 1 million, but numbers are a little off there, Elizabeth.
I do tend to exaggerate things a little bit.
No big deal.
But in my case, I feel like it's been me chipping away for a year,
Right. But there are accounts out there. I mean, I've had my video account, granted it's gone through like some name changes and I had to like niche down a lot. But like I've had my video account for years. you know?
Okay. And what do I tell you about that as
That
far
I
as
don't
growth?
post consistently enough and that I don't show my face enough on my stories, and which is fair. And I don't do any of that. But that's one of those things that most
You're
people
getting better.
don't think about it. I am. I'm trying really hard.
You are.
Look at me. I'm in front of a camera right now.
Both of us.
On a podcast. You're in front of a camera all the time.
I don't want to be.
Whatever.
I don't want to be, which is actually, that's true, because I did start my account. I started it last year as a public account, and it started as just mom content, relatable mom content. And I hated doing it.
Yeah.
I hated being the face of it, but that's what and it was getting the wrong crowd.
Sure.
It wasn't
Didn't
creating
love
a mom community. It was like I was posting single mom stuff, so it was just going in a wrong direction there. But
Had
then
to reel it in.
then I did find rodeo.
Sure.
And bought the camera, and we'll have another guest on, Kelson, who's going to talk more about his journey. But he's the one who actually inspired me by just the algorithm sent me his reel of cinematic rodeo stuff, and I just fell in love with it. Yeah.
How do you not? You know?
It's incredible. And so I went to one rodeo. I thought there was only one in Virginia, so I waited a year to go to the next one. And in the meantime, the algorithm was feeding me rodeo content, and I just started learning more and more. And, Kelson was the one who helped me at my first rodeo, do my camera settings, just texting me and checking, and thought that was just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And then it just snowballed. I remember posting, this might be like mom content now and some rodeo stuff. And one of my social media mentors, Emily Schwalbach, she said, when are you going to change your name so it says rodeo content creator? And I was like, I don't think I'm a rodeo content creator yet. And then I did, once I committed to that, that's when things started to change, because I found content I loved posting, and I didn't have to be in front of the camera for that.
Yeah, that's true.
It was all behind the scenes.
That's nice.
But part of that was wanting to build my brand as well. And so I do tend to put an opening with me in it so they know who the photographer is.
Sure.
I would say that is one thing I encourage a lot of Western photographers to do, is show their face more.
Yeah.
Because
usually they're just throwing up pictures of other people, videos of other people, for sure. You don't associate it with an actual human being.
Yeah. And
you just see the work.
I love to know who I'm engaging with online and putting a face to that. And I think a lot of people are afraid to do that. But I think you can do both. And people, the name of the game in social media is all about engagement. And people want to engage with people they know, like, and trust. And sometimes you have to put your face out there to do that.
I think almost always you have to put your face out there to do that.
Well, they do. There are all those faceless accounts
that's true,
that are wildly successful sometimes, but I don't remember who they are.
Because you've never known them.
I don't.
You've never seen their face.
I want to engage with people who I feel like are my best friend.
Well, and I also feel like, that's the community building aspect of it, right? The building an online community of people who know each other and talk with each other and answer questions and help each other out. And
okay, so let's talk, speaking of that.
Okay. Let's
talk about where we are this weekend and who we're with, because this is a whole Instagram born group of people that we're with. Sure. And none of this would have happened without the power of social media.
That's true.
So where are we?
Do you want me to take it from there?
Yeah.
Great. So this weekend we're in Jackson, Wyoming. Is it Jackson or Jackson Hole?
I get confused.
I never know.
We're in, just call it Jackson Hole.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming. J.W. Phillips is launching a vodka brand that we're really excited about. And so he kind of has created this team. We call it the Dream Team. I think mostly because I'm excited to be a part of it.
I am the personality hire of the Dream Team. I was a last minute request.
It's fine. It's great.
And you know what? It's funny
coming in
because we're talking about him and he's on
the bed there stealing his hotel room. But yeah, he's brought together a ton of people, creatives, influencers in the Western space to be able to really kind of launch this vodka, and it wouldn't have happened without social media, or maybe it would have been more difficult.
Yeah, things happened before social media.
For sure.
But for me to be able to get on a plane
Right.
from Virginia, fly to Jackson Hole, meet you for the first time in
Yeah, that's
person,
true.
meet Kelson for the first time in person. All of these people, we stayed with Skylar Golden, Get Western, in an Airbnb last night, created some content, and we tried. We tried.
Don't tell him that. Say we did it.
It was my fault. We're going to do it again. But anyways, it was just like a chance to engage with people I would have never met outside of Instagram. It's just so cool. And now getting to meet everybody in person, and what is going to be the deliverable of this weekend.
Oh man.
It's going to be absolutely insane.
Well, not just like final edits, but the behind the scenes stuff, the content that's going to be reusable to be able to post, you know.
Yes.
You can have so many shots of cowboys, cowgirls. It's awesome.
And small businesses, you know,
Yeah.
are just other, you know, besides Happy Cow Vodka, there are some other businesses that are going to be, you know, intertwined with it too, of those influencers and creators and small businesses that are helping out with the shoot too.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So if you figure out how to use it correctly, social media kind of brings really cool people into your life.
Yeah.
Really cool friends.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like same with Kelson. I've interacted with Kelson at rodeos for the most part. We shoot the same kind of content, and so when he's working a rodeo, I'll find myself there and we'll chat for a little bit. But I feel like I know him really well.
I do too.
I feel like I know you really well, but we've only ever
FaceTimed
every day.
Yeah. we did become a little codependent.
We?
I did.
I get a phone call from Elizabeth, and it starts with camera stuff, and then it evolves into other things.
I have a very, you call it networking, I call it aggressive friendshipping.
You gotta find me my emotional support.
I did con you into this friendship by asking you to mentor me.
That's true.
I paid for our friendship initially.
You did, yeah.
And then
The checks stopped coming.
But let's talk about why the check stopped coming, because initially you were just helping me.
Right.
But let's talk about
just
your
talking camera stuff.
Yes. And let's just for a quick moment talk about your social media strategy.
Oh, yeah. My social media strategy at this point is I got these cool clips. I need a trending audio. Who will have the best trending audio online at this very moment? And I go to Elizabeth's page, and the most recent 6 videos.
You just find the one with the most views.
Audio. I'm using that audio. I'm using this audio. It's all trending. It's all going to do well. So that's my strategy.
Yeah. And that has typically
Highly
worked.
recommend. Sometimes my reels do better than hers.
It is a real pain point of mine.
Sorry about it.
Yeah, the Roan one, that really hurt my heart.
You just had to get more specific. You had to niche down a little bit.
Okay, so we do want to keep these shorter episodes.
Sure.
So let's say for our last topic for this episode, what would because I think, again, this is probably the question we might get asked most about. So for the first podcast, maybe we answer this, is for people who want to get into specifically rodeo photography and videography, which is what we specialize in, what would your advice be to them?
Shoot the small stuff. Shoot what you can. I feel like a lot of people want to jump directly into the big name rodeos with the big athletes, and it's hard.
There's a lot of rules.
Generally, it's just not going to happen because you don't know anybody, and that's kind of the first step, which is tough. So finding small local rodeos is going to be the thing that starts to help you build a portfolio. First of all, to be able to show like, okay, you do know what you're doing with your camera. You can make these cool edits, or you really have a unique style. You're getting unique shots. And then the consistency over time, posting that, reaching out to people on rodeo committees. Those are the guys you kind of want to talk to, especially if you're doing videography. Photo's a little different when you get into the bigger PRCA rodeos. It's not just like anybody can go shoot. That's not how it works. So,
and I remember similar advice coming from one of Wyatt Wentz, who's great.
He's kind of guy that I started seeing his videos and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I want to be shooting.
And his advice was very like he said anybody can go to a PBR or an NFR and make that look incredible.
Right.
Not anybody, but you can. But if you can go and produce content at these smaller
Your hometown rodeo.
Yeah, and make it look really interesting and really
Yeah.
cool, then that's the place to start.
Right.
And so my advice that I've been telling people lately, because a lot of people want to come shadow me, and as much as I would love to do that, I'm starting to run into some red tape and stuff myself.
Oops.
Yep. So my advice is to contact stock contractors and ask them to do practice pens. Because I will say one of my most viral reels, or not, I wouldn't really say it's viral, but one of my most engaging reels on both Instagram and TikTok came from a practice pen. It was at golden hour. It was the first time I had shot in that lighting. And it was super informal. Shout out to DC Cattle. They let me come in Lexington, Virginia, and just shoot the athletes that were just getting some practice in. And you're free to move wherever you want. There's no crowd.
No restrictions.
Yeah.
No worrying about being in people's way.
No, you can just play around behind the chutes. You can go on the other side of the arena. You can figure out so much more in that environment. And those are some of the best photos I've taken.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice to the people who are newer and want to get going in this.
What if you want to be in the arena?
I never have that desire.
And then that's actually how we started chatting on Instagram. You posted a reel of you being like outside the fence and this bull was coming right at you. And you posted something about
I think I had
wanting to be in the arena, but like not really.
I think I've had people ask me, like, do you want to come in the arena? And
you're like, no. Because I commented on it and I was like, I thought I wanted to be in the arena. And then I almost got run over by the pickup men and started reevaluating.
I've spent way too much money on my face to
be in the arena.
God
I
forbid.
enjoy it. It's an adrenaline rush. But
no, thanks. Not for me.
that's fair.
Okay. Are we ready to call this?
I think so. How long have we been going here? 21 minutes.
Perfect. Okay, so we will probably do one more episode of the kickoff with just more of our social media takes. And then we have a pretty good lineup of guests coming up here.
Excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it.
I am too.
Cool people.
Thank you
Great
for joining.
platforms.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, all over the place.
Yeah. You probably follow most of them, so.
Yeah. And if you don't, you should.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us today. Thanks for being my co-host.
I do what I can.
All right. And with that, we're out. Mic drop.
No. They're expensive.